Hello and happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you're having a good day. This is actually being recorded a week ahead just because I happen to have time today and I thought Nikki might like a week off. And also because something struck me yesterday. So, as you know, we have our Sunday musing, which is this, and we have our garden and chicken updates, and sometimes I do the house as well, or the garage, or the studio. And part of that is that both Nikki and I really enjoy gardening. We love gardening. It's something that we both do. Her garden is, I think, much neater than ours right now. Ours is very much in need of some more weeding and very much in need of some grass cutting, and all sorts of things need to happen in here. But one of the things that we both enjoy about gardening is producing our own food. This behind me is an enormous number of leeks. We've got artichokes, we've got asparagus, we've got tomatoes, we've got strawberries, carrots, peas, beans, potatoes, apples, cherries, although I've never actually got to eat a cherry, but cherries, plums, lots of berries. We've got raspberries, blackberries, some yellow raspberries, some gooseberries, some salmon berries, and a silverberry. So we've planted pretty much all of those apart from the plum trees. And I was eating a strawberry yesterday, and I was chatting with my wife about, a lot of the things about reducing your carbon footprint. People often talk about them as, I'm giving something up. I'm making this great sacrifice to save the planet. And it's never really felt like that for me. Even when we were driving our 2010 iMeave in 2015, it was, the most expensive car we'd bought at that point. I think it was £8,000, which to us was an unimaginable amount of money to spend on a car. The car before that we'd got for just under £3,000. The car before that, I think we paid a couple of hundred for, and the car before that I got for an eBay auction, and I think it was £299, and I took along, I think it was £299.99, the starting price. I put one bid on, we won, and the guy actually gave me the penny change before I left. That was the Volvo 340. And we got this iMeave, and it was a short range vehicle. It meant that we had to charge multiple times if we were going to drive. When we drove to our friend's wedding, we had to charge, I think, twice on the way there. When we went on holiday down to either Devon or Dorset, I can't remember now. It's been a long time. I want to say it was Dorset. Probably wasn't. It was probably Devon. The place there offered us charging, but we still had to charge a couple of times on the way down. It made the journeys much longer. But even then, there was just a lot of pleasure in it. It wasn't like, oh, this is some big sacrifice. It was, this is a much more pleasant way to travel. Traveling in an EV was inherently nicer than traveling in our Prius. It was nicer than traveling in our Volvo 340. And for long distances, it was definitely nicer than driving my Morris Minor. Even though I do love Rebecca, traveling long distances in a car with a 1-litre A-series engine is quite a lot of work. So, yeah, I never really felt that way about that as a sacrifice. It felt like, yeah, I was having to spend some more money than I would like to, but what I got in return was a vehicle that was actually way more pleasant to be in. And I feel that way a lot about food as well. Like, a lot of people look at eating seasonally and not buying stuff that's air freighted in and trying to reduce the carbon that you produce. I really hate the term carbon footprint now. I know it comes from oil companies, but trying to minimize your impact on the environment by, say, eating seasonally, locally, reducing your meat intake, or eliminating it. And doing those things for me is also actually really pleasurable. Like, I get ridiculously excited when we see asparagus. the first time in the year that asparagus arrives at the market, I'm like, oh yeah, it's asparagus time. We got our first few strawberries a couple of weeks ago, and those first strawberries, eating in season fresh vegetables that have, very few food miles, are grown in an area where they're reasonably meant to be grown, and are in season. They're just fresh. They're not ripened using ethylene gas or anything like that. These are, they're ripened on the plant. They taste so different. Excuse the thing with the loud exhaust. They taste so different, and they are so much better than the anemic strawberries that you're at a restaurant and they put strawberries on your dessert and you're like, well, this is a solid red object. It could be a strawberry, it could be a watermelon, I don't know. And eating seasonally for me has been a really pleasurable, enjoyable experience. And for me, I get pleasure out of growing my own food, but I think also just going down to the market and seeing what's available each week and working out what you can cook. And I know I am extremely privileged in that I have the time and the money to go to the farmer's market, although if you make a list and go there, I think it actually probably doesn't make as much of a difference in terms of cost as getting moderately priced stuff at the supermarket. I think it's obviously more expensive than just buying whatever's cheapest. But that whole process of going there, of looking at what's available, of eating the things that are available at the right time of year. When sweet corn comes in, I eat sweet corn until I am heartily sick of it. I don't want it anymore. When the first squashes are ripe, when we get zucchini or courgette in the summer, that is amazing. It's just so good. And the moment that we can go out and get blackberries and make our blackberry balsamic apple pie, it's a joy. And I feel that way about pretty much everything we've done to reduce our impact on the environment. Like, solar panels were a stretch for us to buy and install, but I also get a lot of pleasure about the fact that, I look at our electricity usage and I can now go, that's all coming from our roof, or that's nearly all coming from our roof. As you know, I had a little rant about how inefficient some modern EVs are compared to the EVs that we own. Which is nothing compared to the inefficiency of driving a gas car, but I still think we need to be doing better. But that whole, I can do this and I can reduce my impact on the world, and at the same time that I can get pleasure from it, I find that really, really enjoyable. And the same with, when you get something used and you get to reuse it. When I repair a piece of old computer technology and I get to reuse it. When I get something that's broken, I get a CD player off the internet and it arrives and I fix it and it becomes part of our hi-fi system. There's a real pleasure in that. So I would love to know what bits of going green, as it were, you enjoy. What are the bits that give you the most pleasure and the most enjoyment? What do you have the most fun doing? Let me know. Put it in the comments below. We would love to know. And on that note, which is the end of the video, I need to grab this because I could have brought the teleprompter out because I have the posh camera, but I didn't. So, on that note, we're done with today's video. If you have comments, drop them in a polite note in the Discord chat room, on Mastodon, or if you're a Patreon supporter, you can pop them there, or in the comments here. If you want more, subscribe, hit the bell, and follow the links below to regularly support us with a YouTube membership or Patreon subscription. You'll also find links to our Ko-fi, Bitcoin, and Swag store, as well as that aforementioned Mastodon server. Scrolling by on my right is our amazing list of charged up supporters, and shout outs go to our V2G Patreon supporters: Pedro Muro Pinheiro, Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C. Hay Esker, John Trammell, Kyle Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Gordon... Oh, I've gone back. Gordon C., you get 2 shout-outs. Raging Fellows, Sean Tucker, Stefan Fremgen, Stephen Williams, Tesla in the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Tony Moss, Kyle Hodgson, Chrissa Center, Denny Hyde, Lance Charles, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder, and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters. We are not off-grid. I would like to be able to be, but I'm not. But we do have solar. Paul Conway, Kevin Burrbridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Van Ness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hahn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litwin, JP Fagerback, Dave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, Chris and Michael Johnson, Clay Witt, CPU Freak 101, Eric Knack, Joe Bresney, Joe Hughes, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnak, Nigel S., Reggie Watts, Will Graylan, and, of course, Ian. Don't forget we make videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday and Saturday on the main channel, plus your Sunday Musing and Take 2. Oh, yeah, I keep misreading that. Plus Sunday on Take 2. We make 2 videos on Sunday on Take 2. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you soon, and as always, keep evolving.